Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in the world. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today I will be continuing in Russia and China in Prophecy. We are in the second part of this booklet, and this will be titled Part 2B, the letter B. Pipeline power. Vladimir Putin went on from the 2003 parliamentary election to amass more power both at home and abroad. In 2004, he enacted a law whereby regional governors, rather than being elected by the people, would be appointed directly by the president. Sergei Mitrokhin, Mitrokhin, a former liberal parliamentary leader, called the move a step toward dictatorship. Putin also took further major steps to consolidate the government's control over Russia's natural resources, most importantly oil and gas. Russian firms were absorbed into state-controlled companies. Foreign companies were forced to sell out or face heavy fines for imaginary offenses. Russian oligarchs who resisted were imprisoned or fled the country. Putin was busy building a powerful weapon, and in the winter of 2005-2006, he unveiled it publicly for the first time. Early that winter, Ukraine rebelled against Russia. In presidential elections, the people rejected the pro-Russian candidate in favor of pro-Western Viktor Yushchenko. It was termed the Orange Revolution. Yushchenko immediately moved his country away from Russia's influence, applying for EU membership. Russia was not happy, and it soon demonstrated its new weapon. In the middle of winter, it cut off gas to Ukraine and said it would only resume supply when Ukrainians paid a far higher price. Ukraine had no choice but to cave in. The gas cutoff also affected Europe, a timely reminder that Russia could make European states pay if they dared cross the Kremlin. As of 2006, the EU imported 56% of its energy, mostly from Russia. Germany, Italy, and France imported 90, 91, and 95% of their daily oil needs respectively, the vast majority of their natural gas needs. Russia continued to grow bolder and more belligerent. In 2007, strong evidence pointed to Russia's involvement behind a massive and organized internet attack against Estonia. For 3 weeks, the nation's computer systems were under constant assault in what some called the first state-to-state cyber attack in history. In August that year, Vladimir Putin announced that the Russian Air Force would resume Cold War-style nuclear bomber flights into international space. That summer, Russian bombers entered UK airspace and flew on an intercept course toward the U.S. military base in Guam. The message to the West is clear. The days of dismissing Russia as a spent force are over, wrote the Washington Times, August 19, 2007. In February 2008, American fighter jets intercepted 2 Russian bombers, one of which buzzed the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz. May I remind you that in 2008, Obama was president. Russia also increased its power through strategic arms sales, courting nations through Asia, South America, and even the Middle East. The Russians are not indiscriminately selling arms. Dr. Alexei Muraviev, a strategic analyst at Curtin, CURTIN, University of Technology in Australia, said, Russia has pursued the policy driven by strategic design. If it creates a strong client base that can later be transformed into a larger relationship. Then in December 2007, after a parliamentary election that consolidated yet more power under Putin, the Russian president officially rejected the Conventional Arms Forces in Europe Treaty. Thus, Europeans no longer had any guarantee that Russia wouldn't station thousands of tanks on their eastern borders. But 2008 looked like the end for Putin, at least to some. Under the Russian Constitution, the president is limited to two consecutive terms in office. Putin could not continue as president beyond 2008 without changing the Constitution. So he switched jobs. He became prime minister and kept the power, with Dmitry Medvedev, more or less a puppet, taking the presidency. Putin remained to continue to push his belligerent policies. He is bent on having a world dominant power, something to compete against existing world powers, which would be the United States of America. And you know, when you are at the top and you have growing power-hungry countries, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to take out the top guy so they can be the top guy. And this is where America is right now. And we not only have Russia trying to evolve into the top power, but we also have China. And now what's worse is China and Russia have joined forces against the United States of America. And if you don't think this is a serious problem, you need to go back and look through the history of the world in modern times, since World War I. Even go back to the 18th century and see how power has changed hands, how communist China has continued to grow and pursue a list of objectives. And they're not using traditional warfare. They're using biological warfare. They're using information. They're using propaganda. They are infiltrating our universities. They have infiltrated our politicians' pockets. We have become for sale. So, don't underestimate China or Russia. But at this point, I would think that China is our greatest threat, simply because they hold the keys to the manufacturing of so many products that we produce here in the United States. And without those products, we're not producing anything. And that's the sad part. And the United States has not transitioned and built new companies to produce those products. And when they do start producing those products, they're going to be a lot more costly than what we've been paying for the Chinese slave labor that has created them in China. And that is how China has grown its wealth. It has done business dealings around the world. It has become the world manufacturing center. And what's the highest cost in any company? It's your labor force. Their labor force is forced labor, slave labor, working for 8 cents a day labor. And every time you buy something from China, you are punishing the Chinese people at the hand of the CCP. So think about that next time you go to the store. If you can do it, get something made elsewhere. If you can do it. Because their power is coming from the money that they're making off of the backs of the Chinese people. So, there. That being said, as always, I love you. Annie, I'm so sorry. I'll get it in a minute. Bad throw. I love you guys.